All right, hi guys, good morning and welcome to Earth and Environmental Science for high school students. Today we are going to be talking a little bit about weather versus climate. So these are things that you come into contact with in your everyday lives, whether you realize it or not, and whether you understand the difference between weather and climate. So we're going to talk a little bit about these differences so you guys have some understanding of weather versus climate when we go into our further lessons and delve more in depth into climate and global climate change and how humans have impacted this. So we're going to start off first by talking a little bit about weather. So weather is the conditions of the atmosphere over a short period of time. So these are the short changes in our atmosphere, and they can change from minute to minute or day to day. So the following list is those descriptors of weather conditions, but a few of the ones that I talk about every single day are temperature, humidity, precipitation, cloudiness, sunny, rainy, especially here in Wilmington, North Carolina. I feel like I'm always talking about the humidity and the rain, especially this week. But other things that describe weather are flooding, blizzards, thunderstorms, and then rains from a cold front or warm front, and heat waves. So the next slide that I have goes in to describe some of those weather conditions. So we have blizzard or snow, and then we have rain, we have flooding, we have sunny, and we have foggy. So these are all weather conditions. They are things that can change from minute to minute or day to day. They are temporary. They are short term. So you're going to use that to describe the weather. I feel like describing weather is how you would dress for outside. So you're going to ask your friend or your mom or your dad, how should I dress for today? What is it like outside? So if I say, oh, it's cold and windy, you're probably going to want to wear, jeans and a jacket. But if I say it's hot and humid, you're going to want to wear shorts and a tank top. So weather are those short-term variables impacting your everyday life. And then next is our climate. And so that's how the atmosphere is over a relatively long period of time. So that is the average that scientists take over a long period of time, and they look at the averages of precipitation, temperature, humidity, the sun, wind, and fog, frost, and hailstorms. So that impacts our climate. So there are some things that will impact our climate for short term, and that is the El Nino and La Nina. So those are things that impact our climate, but they don't last for a long period of time. So how I would describe climate is the way you describe a place in general. So no one's going to talk about North Carolina as somewhere that's cold and snowy. That's not our climate. Our climate is pretty wet and mild, but that is different from, say, the Amazon rainforest, which is wet all the time. And so that is the climate of the Amazon rainforest. But our climate here is pretty temperate, mild, and pretty wet for the majority of the time. But if you're going to look at somewhere, say, in the desert, that's going to be hot and dry. So you don't get much rain in the desert, and so that's going to impact the climate of it. So I have some maps on the next slide to talk a little bit about climate. And if you look at the map with the white background, that is going to be the map talking about average rainfall per year. And so the darker blue areas have the more rainfall or more precipitation, and then the golden brown color has the least amount of precipitation. And if you look at Wilmington, North Carolina, you can see that it falls somewhere towards the lower end of precipitation on a global scale. And then if you look at our climate classification map, you're going to see that Wilmington, North Carolina falls into a temperate oceanic climate. And so like I was saying, our climate can be described as temperate. It's pretty mild. It's not too hot. It's not too cold all the time. And then it is impacted by the ocean and the weather that is brought on by the ocean. So the next slide is going to talk about what our climate is and then what weather is. So climate is what you expect and weather is what you get. So if you're going to go on vacation in North Carolina, you're going to expect that it's going to be hot and humid because it's the summer in North Carolina. It's what you expect. That is the climate. And then our weather is what you get. So today in North Carolina, it was in the mid 80s with 75% humidity. So that is the specific weather. And now what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about weather versus climate, and you guys are going to help tell me whether the statements on these slides are weather or climate, and this is actually going to prepare you for the in-class assignment that we're going to do to learn or to understand weather or climate a little bit more. So on average, Wilmington, North Carolina gets about 57 inches of rain per year. Is this weather or is this climate? So this is going to be climate because it talks about the average amount of rainfall per year. So this is actually a rainfall map, and it's telling you where it rains the most and where it rains the least. So the green and the blue areas are where it rains the most, and then the red areas is where it rains little to none at all. So that is our average climate in North Carolina is rainy. Or average, I'm sorry, the average rainfall is talking about the climate. So weather or climate, it was 83 degrees Fahrenheit today with cloudy skies. So this is going to be weather because it can change from minute to minute or day to day. So it was not cloudy just 5 seconds ago when I started this presentation, and now it is cloudy outside. So that is something that is always changing. It is short term. It is not describing the climate. It is instead describing the weather outside. And then the last one that we're going to go over is weather or climate. Cleveland, Ohio receives about 61 inches of snow per year. So this is going to be climate because it's, again, talking about a yearly average. So anything that's talking about an average is going to be climate. So what we're going to do next is we are going to do a little bit of an in-class assignment, and I'm going to give you guys about 5 to 10 minutes to work on this assignment with your shoulder partner, and then we'll go over the answers. So I'm going to give you guys this sheet, and you are going to determine whether each statement is weather or climate, and all you're going to do is put an X in that box. So I'll give you guys some time to do that, and then we'll go over the answers. All right, so we'll go ahead and go over the answers. And the first statement is it has rained every single day this week. Is that going to be weather or climate? So that's going to be weather because it's talking about the short-term changes. Even though it has rained every day this week, it might not rain every day next week. Those are short-term changes happening in our area. The average rainfall for Wilmington, North Carolina in July is 7.48 inches. So this is going to be climate, right? Because it's talking about the average rainfall for Wilmington. Not just the rainfall today. It's the average for July. The next one is this week's high temperature is 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's going to be weather because, again, it's something that is short-term and always changing. The average temperature in Wilmington, North Carolina in January is 46 degrees Fahrenheit. So, again, that's going to be climate because we're talking about an average. It is cloudy out today. That is weather. And it is going to be windy tomorrow. So that is also weather. So I hope that this lesson kind of gave you guys some clarity on the differences between weather and climate, because it'll really help you with understanding global climate change when we talk about it and how humans have impacted it. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to come up to me after class and ask me those questions then, or we can set up another time to answer them. Thank you guys and have a fantastic day.